You ever seen a headline that just made your jaw drop, only to find out later it was totally fake? Yeah, we've all been there. In our world today, fake news spreads like an absolute wildfire, and trying to tell what's real from what's not, well, it feels more critical than ever. It's a fight our current tools just aren't winning.
So that leads to the big question we're tackling today. Can we actually build an AI that's smart enough to spot a lie not just in English, but in any language? And could it also understand when an image doesn't match a story and, this is the key part, tell us why it thinks something is fake?
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to dig into how the threat of fake news is constantly changing. Then, we'll look at the big blind spots in our current defenses. After that, I'll introduce you to a new kind of AI detective, we'll see how it stacks up in some tests, and finally, we'll talk about why having an AI we can actually trust is what really matters.
So let's start with the problem itself. Because spotting fake news today, man, it's gotten so much harder than it used to be. The whole game has changed, and the threat is way more sophisticated than you might think.
This isn't just a local issue, it's a global pandemic of misinformation, jumping across languages and cultures with ease. It's what we call multimodal, which is a fancy way of saying it uses this powerful one-two punch of misleading text paired with fake or out-of-context images to be extra convincing. And of course, social media acts like a super spreader, pushing this stuff to millions of people in minutes. The damage is very real, and it's chipping away at our trust in everything.
And right when we were trying to get a grip on that, generative AI showed up and threw gasoline on the fire. You've got tools like GPT-4 that can write incredibly believable fake articles, and things like Stable Diffusion that can create photorealistic fake images. And they can do it at a scale that is just terrifying. So, with this new tsunami of AI-generated fakes, our current tools they're completely out of their league. They're riddled with what you could call digital blind spots, and it's time we put a spotlight on them.
You know, most of the AI detectors we use today are what experts call black boxes. Think of it like a magic 8-ball. You ask it if a story is fake, and it just spits out a yes or no with zero explanation. How are you supposed to trust that? For a journalist, or heck, for any of us, that's just not good enough.
So when you lay it all out, the problems are pretty glaring, right? Our tools are mostly focused on English, they totally ignore images, which is a huge part of the problem, and they act like these untrustworthy black boxes. What we really need is something that works in all languages, understands text and images, and is transparent enough to tell us what it's thinking.
But, it's not all doom and gloom. There's a new player in this game, a new AI model that was designed from the ground up to tackle these exact challenges. Let's meet HMAUFEK.
Okay, so Hemmed Fake basically has three superpowers. First, it's multilingual. It gets news in 5 different languages, including several from India, where this is a massive issue. Second, it's multimodal, so it looks at the words and the pictures together. And third, and this is the really crucial one, it's explainable. It actually shows its work, pointing out why it thinks the story is bogus. So how does it do all this? Well, you can think of it like a really good digital detective. First, it reads through the text, looking for any suspicious phrasing. Then, it scans the images for clues or inconsistencies. It even checks the credibility of the source itself. And then, it fuses all those clues together to give a final, well-reasoned verdict. Now, all of that sounds fantastic on paper, right? But the million-dollar question is, how does this new AI detective actually hold up when you put it to the test with real-world fake news? Well, the results are in, and they are pretty impressive. Fake is about 5% more accurate than the previous best-in-class models. Now, I know, 5% might not sound like a huge number, but in the high-stakes game of AI detection, trust me, a 5% leap is a massive win. That translates to catching thousands upon thousands of additional fake stories. And you can really see the difference right here. This first bar, Fake, with an accuracy score of 0.89, it just leaves these other powerful models like XLMR and MBERT in the dust. It's consistently and clearly more accurate. But here's where it gets even better. In languages that often get overlooked by AI developers, what they call low-resource languages like Gujarati or Marathi, Hemmed Fake's lead actually jumps to a huge 7 to 8% improvement. This is an absolute game-changer for making fake news detection a truly global effort. But what about those AI-generated fakes, the new supercharged threat? Well, it handles them too. Fake maintains over 80% accuracy against them, which proves it is more than ready for this next wave of AI-driven misinformation. And that brings us to our final and maybe the most important piece of this whole puzzle. See, it's not just about building an AI that's right all the time. It's about building an AI that we can actually understand and trust.
This is where that explainability superpower really shines. HMFake doesn't just say fake or real. It shows you its homework. It generates this kind of attention heat map that literally highlights the specific words and phrases it found suspicious. It's like having a super smart assistant leaning over your shoulder, pointing out all the red flags for you. And look, this isn't just a cool party trick. A study had human experts, real journalists, review the AI's reasoning, and they found that 82% of its explanations were genuinely meaningful. That means the AI is thinking in a way that actually makes sense to us humans. So, what's the big takeaway here? We're finally starting to move away from these opaque, untrustworthy black boxes and toward a more transparent, human-centered defense. We're not just building a tool, we're building a reliable partner in the fight for truth.
So as this war against misinformation keeps evolving and getting more complex, it really leaves us with a question. As we go forward, is an AI that can not only find the lie but also explain why it's a lie going to be our most important ally? The future of truth might just depend on it.